The Last Detail is a 1973 comedy drama directed by Hal Ashby.
Yes, it stars Jack Nicholson and Otis Young as two guys in the Navy. Jack Nicholson's a signalman and Otis Young is a gunner's mate.
Gunner's mate.
Yeah, I remembered. And they're stationed in Virginia and they're waiting for orders, to when they're going to go back out to sea. They're given a detail to escort a fellow seaman up to the Navy prison up in Maine for the attempted theft of $40. Poor soul, called Meadows, is played by Randy Quaid. So yeah, they don't really like the task, but basically they've got to do it or they get chucked out of the Navy. So yeah, they meet up with Meadows, who obviously Randy Quaid, he's like 6'4", big guy, but this is an early film for him. He was only, I think, in his early 20s. He's quite shy and reserved, despite his stature, and obviously worried about going to prison at such a young age, especially for such a minor crime. Even though he's a bit of a kleptomaniac, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, they travel up. They've got a whole week to get him up to Maine. So they take the train and they hit New York and I think they end up in Washington as well, don't they? I think.
Yeah.
And during this trip, they get to know Meadows and they think, this poor guy, he's only young, he's only just starting out in life, and he's gonna miss out on most of his 20s in prison and miss out on these great life experiences. So let's give him a good send off and take him drinking, take him to a whorehouse. Just have a good time. So that's what the bulk of the film is them travelling up on trains and buses and things like that through these cities and having sort of drunken adventures on the way. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's like it's a character piece mainly.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's, in a way, I said comedy drama at the beginning. It's not like laugh out loud. It's very fun. There's some very funny stuff in it. It's a road movie in a way. Obviously, they're not driving, but they are kind of travelling up through America. Very cold America.
Yes,
freezing.
Yeah, the further they go, the colder it gets.
The colder it gets, yeah, and it feels cold. The film itself feels quite. It's bleak.
Yeah,
and it's cold. It's about necessarily. It's kind. I suppose it's potentially an anti-war movie. A lot of those were coming out during the 70s. It's a Hal Ashby piece, of course, famous for making Harold and Maude and Coming Home and films like that. So he was very much. Coming Home is a film about the Vietnam War and the experience that led to soldiers coming home after it. Not pretty for the most part. This is more a kind of film about what soldiers get up to, or Navy. What do they call them? Navy sailors.
Yes.
Seamen.
Seamen.
So this is more about what Navy or seamen are kind of getting up to during war going on, but they're stuck at home, waiting to be sent over to Vietnam, and so it kind of shows the boredom that these guys have to face, and they put on some kind of guard duty or detail, as it's called in this. They don't want to do it, like you said, but they have to do it.
Yeah.
They often talk a lot in this film about the man, and that's I suppose they're talking about Nixon. Are they talking about Nixon, or are they talking about like?
Well, there's a one scene, isn't there, where they meet somebody who keeps going on about Nixon, isn't there? But
and who's asking about why they go off to.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're told to do it, you just do it. So I don't know whether they are specifically talking about. The man is kind of mentioned quite a bit, and I think they possibly are referring to your president in this film. They are just soldiers at the end of the day, and they're being shipped off to a war that none of them really want to do, but that's what they have to do. They have to go and do it, and if not, you get into a lot of trouble. And so it's really kind of highlighting that quite a lot, and it's just kind of highlighting the working man. I think the difference between when Meadows is going off to prison, I think the prison is actually run by the Marines.
Yeah.
And they really kind of play off the two of them in this film, which I think other films have done before. You often see Marines and Navy guys getting into scraps, and
they do in this film as well.
There's one of them in this film as well. And the Marines are kind of depicted as being these kind of hard-nosed, macho kind of guys, and Meadows is terrified of being like kind of beaten up as soon as he gets in there. And then the sailors are more depicted as just kind of working class lads who just want to get get through their was it tour of duty? Is that what
Yeah.
they kind of call it? But then, of course, it is a character piece. I mean, we have Jack Nicholson in there, who is like one of, I think he is, for me, my favourite screen actor of all time. He's just incredible, and I think for me, this is possibly one of my favourite roles of his.
I think for him personally, it's one of his favourite roles. I think
Right.
he feels it's one of his best, and I think he was disappointed that he missed out on an Oscar for it.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously, you think of Jack Nicholson, most people tend to think of, well, different people think of different films, but I suppose the top three would be Chinatown, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and The Shining. All of them stellar performances by him. But this one, I just think there's kind of a soul in this one to him, and he's very funny, and he gets some great shouty moments that he does really well. There's a very funny moment in a bar when they go in and they try to get Meadows a drink, and the guy behind the bar is clearly not happy. He doesn't want to serve him because he knows he's too young, and then there's also a bit of possible underlying racism going on because Otis Young is black. And there's just Jack Nicholson just plays it amazingly. Gets very angry and in the guy's face, and it's just Jack Nicholson's like totally believable.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
all the time.
Yeah. They all are. I mean, Otis
they all
Young
are. Yeah,
is the same. I mean, obviously he doesn't have all the lines that Nicholson does, but no, I think they play off well together. And again, Randy Quaid he's
great.
He can't. I think apparently they filmed it like chronologically, and obviously Randy Quaid was still quite a new actor then, and was quite inexperienced. So it was filmed that way to help him to grow into the role. So
Right.
I think Otis Young as well. He was brought on quite late because the previous guy couldn't do it. So again, he because he was brought on so late. Again, it was to ease them both into the roles, and he his character grows throughout through the film, and by the end he's sort of a changed man to a point.
There's a small role, Carol Kane, who plays a prostitute in there, and of course, yeah, she was in Scrooge that we did,
Yeah,
and Princess Bride, she was in that.
she was.
Well.
Yeah.
But she's very young, along with Randy Quaid in this film as well. But she's not in it very much, but I think it's a very funny scene that she's in there.
And Nancy Allen's in it briefly as well, in her first role.
Oh, she is, isn't she? Of course. Is she in the party scene?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Well, I mean, similar to those kind of road movies, there's a great film called Scarecrow, which has got Al Pacino and Gene Hackman in. That feels quite similar to this one. And a little bit like The Last Eagle, I think these are films that are kind of a little bit lesser known. I mean, everyone knows Chinatown. I mean, in the case of Jack Nicholson films, everyone knows Chinatown and The Shining. But I'd never heard of The Last Detail. I saw it, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago. I was just watching Jack Nicholson. I kind of do that. I go through phases of watching all their films, and then you look through IMDb and you're like, oh, I've never heard of that. That looks interesting. Never heard of that. And then I just end up watching these films, and I was really blown away by all of their performances in this film. Obviously, Hal Ashby, made Harold and Maude and Coming Home, and he's done many other films. I was never the biggest fan of Harold and Maude, I have to say. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't. No.
It's an odd piece.
I mean, it didn't do very well, did it? When it
didn't do that well. I mean, it's become a cult classic. I mean, it is an odd piece. It's supposed to be an odd piece, and it is. But I was never that. I think it's a very American. I mean, these are kind of quintessential American movies.
Yeah.
70s, the 70s released some of the I personally think some of the greatest American films of all time came out of the 70s. But no, I thought this was really good, and it does feature some really good cast in there. Great acting,
Lots of profanity.
Lots of profanity. In fact, actually, and I wanted to do this because I don't know if I'm going to remember all this, but there is a lot of profanity, and there's a lot of F words in there. But there was an interview with. So I'll just read this because I thought it was funny. So the first 7 minutes there were 342 F words.
That was in the original script, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's right. Film executive Peter Guber told Peter Biskin for his book about 70s filmmaking. This was an opportunity to write Navy guys like they really talk. Screenwriter Towne, and it's Robert Towne who wrote Chinatown, told Biskin in the same book. The head of the studio sat me down and said, Bob, wouldn't 20 MFs be more effective than 40 MFs? I said, no, this is the way people talk when they're powerless to act. They bitch. I just thought, that's kind of sums up the film.
I mean, I think in the end there was about 60 odd, wasn't there, in the finished film? But,
something like that, yeah. So there's a lot of swearing in there, and we all love a bit of swearing in films.
I mean, in those, now it's pretty standard, but I mean, in the 70s, I think that held the record at the time for the most. So
that's great.
For the 70s, it was unusual. But.
So just seek it out for that, if nothing else. Well, no, seek it out for the performances, because they're great performances, and it's a great script, and it's just I think it's a really good film. And this is the first time you'd seen it.
I hadn't seen it before. No,
I've
heard of it. Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah,
excellent stuff. That's really good. Well, I've got it. I've got this on Blu-ray. Actually, and it's probably not that unknown because it's actually got a nice Blu-ray. But then it's Indicator, so I suppose they've picked up a slightly more unknown film and given it a wider audience. And Indicator, much like Arrow and Criterion, they released these great discs, and they put lots of great extras on there. I haven't actually watched any of these because I'm lazy. One day I'll get around to it, hopefully. It's
got a nice booklet in there as well.
It has a nice booklet in there,
and the DVD as well, because everyone
puts the DVD, and I don't understand that.
I don't care about DVDs.
If you've got
anymore.
Blu-ray, who's going to watch? Why would you want the DVD as well?
I guess watch it on your laptop. I don't know. Don't get it. But anyway.
Or it's maybe if they took away the DVD, maybe it'd be cheaper.
Well, quite.
These are very expensive. These discs. You have to be rolling in money to buy lots of these special editions of great movies. It's crazy. But
it was released in the US as well by the label Twilight Time, who I don't know if every single one of their releases is like limited. I think there was about only 3,000 of them. So most of their releases sell out pretty quick. So. Yeah, you'll pay more for the US one.
Indicator are specifically a British. It's Powerhouse. Is it Powerhouse Films?
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, that's right.
So that one's easier to come. Even I don't know if it's all regions. So if you're in the States, then you can probably find that one, and instead of the out of print Twilight Time one.
Right.
So
and you thought it looks nice, doesn't it? It's got a nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a 4K restoration. It shows. It looks. I mean, it is quite a grainy film. Anyway, I think just for instance, where it was filmed, the time it was filmed, and what it was filmed with, etc., etc. But and some people don't like that, but that's just the look of the film. That's how it's supposed to look.
It doesn't bother me.
No,
it makes it feel like it's from that time, and it is a gritty film, and and the print feels gritty too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there was a kind of sequel a couple of years ago.
You're right, yes, by Richard Linklater.
Yeah, was it The Last Flag, which...
Something like that,
I mean, that's based on a book, as is the sort of sequel, and the sequel, again, is based on the book. I think it's supposed to be the same characters, but I think in The Last Flag, their names are slightly different, so they're not, it's not a direct sequel, but I think it's got Steve Carell and Lawrence Fishburne and Bryan Cranston in it. I mean, I haven't seen it. It's supposed to be quite good. I mean, I think it's on Amazon. I think it was funded by them. So.
Oh right, okay. Because I hadn't heard of it, and then I was reading up about this, and I was like, okay, because I think that's set during the Iraq War, and they all come together because they've all lost a son. In the Iraq War. So obviously, so it looks quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was aware of it, and I thought, I might watch that at some point. But now I've seen that, and now I know the connection. I think I might, I'll definitely check that out.
Oh well, if you know that one and you haven't seen this one, then it's probably worth going back and check. I mean, I imagine they're possibly quite different films. I don't know. I mean, Richard Linklater's probably quite, he's clearly he's clearly influenced by 70s filmmaking, a lot of things like that. I mean, Days Confused, obviously, and it's set in the 70s, so, he's one of those filmmakers that's obviously going to be influenced by a lot of these guys from the 1970s. So, I imagine it would be pretty worth checking out. I shall definitely do that now I know that exists. And that was the last detail. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Yep, hit that subscribe button up there if you've enjoyed what you've watched, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications. Check out some of our other videos over there, and come and find us on Twitter and Facebook, and come back next week for another video.